The Dialogue Automix cost option is probably the most popular feature. One of the most physically challenging tasks facing a broadcast engineer is riding the faders to maintain a smooth, balanced mix in the fast-paced environment of a multi-microphone talk show. SSL's unique Dialogue Automix option provides software-driven automation of this process. Once a relative level has been set for each mic, Dialogue Automix eliminates missed upcuts as operators struggle to match the pace of the show and avoids obtrusive fluctuations in background noise.
Let me demonstrate how the Automix algorithm works. What I'm going to use is a recording of three presenters in a relatively live environment. The first thing I'm going to do is play this recording with the faders in a straight line, and you'll hear a lot of crosstalk and coloration on the finished mix.
So, as you can see, we've had a rather unusual week of weather, with record levels of rainfall and flooding in the west. Quite unusual for this time of year. How long will the rain last? I'll be back later in the programme after the break with an extended forecast.
What's the story with all this rain? Is this anything to do with global warming?
Well, it's very difficult to attribute this to global warming.
The only variable control in this process is the sidechain gain, which is called the weight control. And in normal use, this is just set to unity. We're going to use the channel encoders, and I've set up a soft key to select the Automix weight. Using the switch next to the encoders, I turn on the Automix function. You can see the label for this encoder is now weight. It's a unity gain, therefore the 0 mark is illuminated, just to give me reassurance that the controls are set at unity. The only real reason to change the balance for the sidechain is in the situation where you want one presenter to be able to talk down other contributors, i.e. in an unscripted panel discussion. In which case, by giving the main presenter an additional weight, whenever more than one person talks at the same time, they will be attenuated more than the presenter will be. But in this segment here, we're going to just leave the weight controls at their default unity position. So let's play the same segment again.
So, as you can see, we've had a rather unusual week of weather, with record levels of rainfall and flooding in the west. Quite unusual for this time of year. How long will the rain last? I'll be back later in the programme after the break with an extended forecast.
What's the story with all this rain? Is this anything to do with global warming?
Well, it's very difficult to attribute this to global warming.
As you can see, the algorithm recreated the moves that I would have made with the faders. What you notice is that there is no change in the ambience level, in the background ambience. Another aspect of the algorithm is that it always maintains the gain of a single microphone, regardless of how many microphones are actually up at any one time. The only other indicator in the meter area was above threshold indicator. This was the little yellow segment right at the top.
For this time of year. How long will the rain last?
And that is just a reassurance that the initial gain of the system is correct. Provided the threshold indicators are on, the system can cope with a wide variety of input levels. When no attenuation is being applied to a channel, then all the segments will be lit. And if all the segments are off, then more than 15 dBs of attenuation is being applied to that channel.
People expected to turn out to see 34 floats make their way through the city centre.
I'll play that once more, and this time I'm going to mute and unmute the channels that the Automix algorithm is controlling, and you'll be able to see that there is no change in the amount of coloration on the main contributor. So this time we're going to play it once again with Automix on.
So, as you can see, we've had a rather unusual week of weather, with record levels of rainfall and flooding in the west. Quite unusual for this time of year. How long will the rain last? I'll be back later in the programme after the break with an extended forecast. Very difficult.
Now, the algorithm acts basically pre-fader, so I can still make the final adjustments to the balance between the three voices. So this is not, it's not trying to put the operator out of a job, it's trying to allow the operator to concentrate on the important aspects of balancing speech sources together. The Automix system can control a maximum of 16 channels. The only other adjustment available to the operator is to set the time constants of the algorithm, and this is available via the miscellaneous menu. Select Automix, and we have two controls, one for attack and one for release. And these are the default values that you would use in practice. A reasonably fast attack time and a relatively medium to slow release time. That's just to avoid any pumping artifacts if there's a lot of background noise. The system can also be used with a mixture of local and remote sources. So not all the contributors have to be in the same position. The algorithm will work perfectly happily with someone on the end of a telephone line or at the end of a remote.